Hey guys, I felt inspired and I've got some extra time this morning, so I felt inspired to do another share. And what I'm sitting with is how do we understand healing in this great awakening, in this great evolutionary leap that we're undergoing in our aliveness. And so it's always in unity, it's always happening in oneness, it's always happening in the container of all of life, all of eternity. And it's only within our experiential self. So it really is in the vessel. This is our body, the body of Christ. It's in our vessel of creation that we are healing the past perception of linearity and separation in um, I'm hearing like dualistic framework. So even our idea of separating our genders so that there's a separation, a barrier between men and women, i.e., we think we're different when actually we are just reflections of one another. The world around us, that the empirical or mechanical world that we were taught and believed to be outside of us, that is integrating, we're merging with it. Hence, what I talk about in the Fearless Life Guide is the karmic backlog. So we have to recognize that the majority of us, when we're facing our reality, we're looking at our past. We're looking at an energetic emotional pattern. We're not necessarily, really has nothing to do necessarily with the people that we're involved with, the circumstances, the places, or the things. It has to do with our emotional point of attraction. It's how we're dealing with, it's how we're facing our patterns. It's how we're moving into our pattern rather than running away from it, rather than denying it, rather than um, bypassing it by over rationalizing it. So the healing really is an emotional healing by owning and transforming the emotional reactions that are triggering us, turning into waves and then storms. The storms are healing our heart so that we are coming into greater unity with the self that we know in our hearts that we are. And in that unification process, we can birth our world. We can birth and manifest on a quantum level because we're not unconsciously repeating patterns, karmic patterns based on, again, fear, separation, loss, grief, pain, whatever it might be, right? And again, we can own the pain that we feel and then transform it by transforming the stories that we've been telling ourselves. Again, whether it's, and something I can be honest with you guys, like a massive one for me is like how horribly I've been treated by men, and now having to really own that and face that and express that and say, like, I just can't tolerate that anymore. And I need to change that story. I need to really believe that men don't just want to use me and that men don't just want to lie to me to take what they want from me, but then have no mutual respect and make arbitrary decisions that affect me, but don't include me in those decisions. So, and again, that is an unconscious, systematic program that women are less important, that women are less valuable, that we have less to offer in as far as like the world order goes, and as far as like, and I have experienced this directly in my life just within the last few days of looking at the different modalities and someone claiming I'm simply emotional and intuitive, and that's just not true, because I use the facet of my mind. I use the intellectual deductionary processes of my mind in union with my emotional and intuitive awareness. I'm not just some hysterical, emotional, crazy person. However, I am an integrated, embodied human being who feels in union with mental capacity to manifest on the quantum level, which means I don't try to mechanically manipulate anything in my reality. I don't try to find clients. I don't use manipulative NLP tactics. I don't use any marketing strategy, anything like that. My world is simply a reflection of the consciousness state that I am vibrating. And that for me, as I endeavor to create a really harmonious and abundant life, and that includes having a loving friendship, partnership with sacred sexuality, and yet I'm still unconsciously creating situations that are helping me to heal. the program that I, simply me, but it's dominant for many women as well, I was taught. Men only want one thing. Men will lie to you to get that from you. And so I've created that. And what I'm facing now is that I'm still wanting to address that and have a conversation about that. It would just appear right now to me that it's still really tricky for people. People don't want to be honest. People want to defend themselves. People just want to kind of put you in a box and, yeah, defend their behavior because it's uncomfortable, because we're all running away from stuff until we're not running away from it. And that's consciousness, that's conscious transformation. My own life just continues to expand. And there's no uh, sort of dictatorial mental, yeah. And because that way that I was taught to be in the world, it was painful, it wasn't joyful, it wasn't fun, and actually it didn't bring me more money. The harder I worked, it didn't make me happier, it just like made me sick. It made me more dysfunctional, it made me more toxic, it made me deny this. What I share with you, the world now, is part of a deep, long time, 10-year, like, deep discipline of meditation, yoga, and then being guided on it in a really divine way to teach it, my continual humbling and energetic work, and then publishing a book and pioneering a new paradigm business. Now, anyone who has created things in this world from a loving place knows the amount of energetic and emotional resilience that one needs to produce, to create, to put yourself out there, because it is a beautiful, honoring thing to share your heart with the world. And at the same time, you become exposed. So you have a lot of hatred from people as well as love. You have a lot of criticism from people as well as love. I've had a lot of people run away from me, deny me, tell me I was wrong, tell me I was bad, tell me I did something that displeased them, therefore they cannot support me. People saying that I, whatever, people calling me names, and people assuming this, that, or the other. And then when I go deeper and observe and really like look in, I think, no, that's your assumption. That's an assumption that you're making about the type of woman I am, or about my point of attraction, or about what I feel about this, that, or the other. And the truth is, I just usually feel love and compassion, because I realize those are some of the most valuable emotions that we can feel into, that we have always access to. For me, love and compassion is always there. Sometimes it just takes a little bit of meditation, or a little bit of deep breathing, or a little bit of mantra to help work it out energetically, to help release it, and this is where, having broken through a lot of the old paradigm, it's just being the vessel of light for people. It's just being a vessel of love for people to lean on, and to remind people that you are the love that you seek, you are the life that you seek, you are the beauty that you seek. And the world is a playground for us to endeavor that joyful innocence once again, in a maturity, in a spiritual maturity, that humanity can come back into a unified force field, in remembrance of the totality of our co-creation, that we are all one, that we are all into this together, and we do have a capacity to have a joyful experience in these bodies. And yet we have some energies to transform. We have dense energies in our collective program that we need to transform, because we've been carrying them in the cells of our body. There's memory in the cells of our body of persecution, of death, of power over, of betrayal, of us using and abusing one another ages and ages. So it's the clearing in our emotional body. It's the energy of our cells that need to be healed, that need to be loved, that need to be restored. And to remember to always bring ourselves back in the here now presence, because of the here now presence, really, that's all there is. So being aware of how we're using our energy, and how we're putting our energy out there, and being extraordinarily disciplined in, I'm hearing that from A Course in Miracles, in my defenselessness, my safety lies, that when we're attacking and defending ourselves, we're really just not feeling. We're just using words and these things to kind of deny what's really going on. And until we can be really honest and vulnerable with one another, we never we're never going to make change. We're never really going to make any headway. And so there's a real unification. There's a real sense of masculine, feminine polarities coming into unity. And some of us might be experiencing this simply in our own lives and seeing little differences in how we're behaving. And I can honor that in my own life of this sudden shift of saying, actually, I need to express this, and having no attachment to outcome, right? No attachment to outcome, but simply my deservingness to be able to speak truth, to be able to share, even though it's painful, and share rather than just attack somebody based on some assumption that I think of them. Just share the honest truth of the feeling body, right? Because that's just vulnerability. And to be honest, if somebody chooses to attack the vulnerability, then this is a very toxic relationship and or situation that needs to be cut out, right? However, if somebody can be met with kindness, compassion, a sense of gratitude, an open-heartedness, then there's great space for us to be able to heal long-standing karmic programs and patterns in our collective frequencies, right? So we, in the weirdest way possible, we need to sit with our emotions. We need to feel the fullness of our emotions in the here now present moment, and yet not simply mentally deduce what we think is going on, because often the mind is looking through the third D, right? It's looking through a lower frequency wavelength. The mind, the constructed mind, as it were, the mind that has been connected to the world that we see and that we all know. So that mind is what's through the emotional body having to be uplifted, upgraded. But we can't access those higher vibrational frequency thoughts without endeavoring the emotional awareness of heart, feeling, gut feeling. I hope that was useful, maybe even a little entertaining. Guys, don't forget to subscribe. Subscribe to my channel, because you know there's some juicy nuggets in here. And I'm just here to help. I'm just here to support you and love you and make sure that you believe in yourself, because you are a legend. You are a truly legend of life. I love you. Have a great day, you guys. Peace out, mofo lavorinos.